Okay. All right. I think we should get started as soon as I can find the right file here. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the NEARA pre-convention meeting for MTA delegates to the RA. I am Max Page. If you don't know me by now, then I have done a very terrible job of communicating. I am your MTA president. I'm joined, there's a lot of people on here, but I'll introduce the staff in a second. I want to make sure to note our vice president, Deb McCarthy, and Mike Fadel, our executive director treasurer. And I will give special shout out to some of the key staff in a minute who are going to help us out tonight, but also all through the RA. So my very briefest, larger context here, I just wanted to say is that I really do see this RA as like no other I think we've been to. This is obviously, as always, the gathering of the representative assembly of the largest labor union in the country, but it's also a gathering at the moment when our union matters more than ever. It is unions who stop authoritarianism. That's the history, that's the reality from around the world, and we simply have to be part of that mass movement. And the question really for all of us, not just here tonight, but also through the RA and the convenings at the business of the RA is how, not if, we participate in building that mass movement that protects our democracy and protects our public schools and colleges and protects all the common good that we have helped build up. So that I really want us to be thinking about that in all of our deliberations here and throughout the RA is what are we doing and how is it connected to protecting public education, protecting our democracy at a moment of rising authoritarianism. Sorry to start the late afternoon on that note, but I think we should just be very frank with each other always about what is going on. We're having conversations at the board and at summer conference and really throughout our union. We need to keep talking about this and acting as you all have been doing in defense of what we care about. So that is the setting, but with that as the setting, we have a lot of business to do even in this short meeting tonight. And I do especially want to welcome Jennifer Freeling, Aaron Tracy, and Olivia Osiki, who kind of make the core of our NEARA efforts. And of course, they will be joining us to support me and Deb and Mike and all of you at the RA. As will the training professional event specialist, Sarah Ibanez. We are going to record this meeting so that it could be posted to the MTA RA webpage later this week so that delegates who couldn't make it tonight can get on. And I'll just keep repeating it. You all hopefully know it all, massteacher.org/RA. That's where all the information you need to have a successful RA will be. And really big thanks to the NEARA Planning Committee, and we'll introduce them shortly. A few other housekeeping things. I think most people have done this, but please do change your name in Zoom so that we know who you are and what local you're from. We are, I think are we having the chat open or not? At the moment, I think it is not, so we really could just communicate with you about, and we're going to try to not have back and forth within the chat today. If you do have questions about any agenda item, just use the raise hand feature in Zoom by hitting that reaction button and then raise hand, and we'll get to your questions soon. All right, with that, I think we will move on to our next item, which is approving of the proposed procedures for the conduct of the caucus meeting. And I am assuming people have that. Oh, there it is. There's the agenda, and I'm sure that's all in there. And so I would actually turn to Julian Norman about making, or rather really making that motion, and then we'll describe how we do the votes.
So is this the one that Chris is doing? We're gonna move the proposal for procedures for the conduct of the caucus meeting.
I'll second. Ms. Mulroney.
Oh, Chris is
Framingham.
there.
Oh,
Great.
Julia Norman, Waltham, sorry, I forgot that
Great.
part.
And in the chat, you can see Olivia's posted that those procedures. I think Jen, it would be good if maybe you explain now the procedures for voting. And then if people have questions or comments about those procedures, they can do that before we come to a vote.
Yes, happy to. Thanks, Max. So when Max calls for a vote, he's gonna first ask for those who are in favor for the item before you. To vote in favor of an item, you're gonna use the react button and the green check mark if you're voting in favor, also called the yes button. So you'll hit the heart react button and then find the green check mark if you're voting in favor. If you are voting against an item, you're going to use the red X mark also under the react button. Max will first call for the in favor. We'll take those votes, then we'll clear the feedback and call for those against.
Great. Thank you, Jen. Are there questions, comments about this? And I don't know if Julie, we're going to speak to it, or Chris, not?
No.
No, nope.
Okay. Without then we will in fact move towards the vote. So again, we'll start with the yes votes. Those in favor should click that react button and then click the green button if you are in favor, and then we'll do that first. So please put up those who want to vote in favor, please click the green check mark.
And Max, while folks are voting, I'll just let people know these are the procedures we use every year. They haven't changed from year to year. They just have to be reaffirmed by the delegation each year.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, Jen, you tell me when we can close the vote. I'll just give it a few more seconds to make sure people get a chance to get to the react button to vote.
Yep, most votes are still coming in, so maybe give it a couple more seconds, Max. Okay.
Great. So now you got the numbers. You can clear that.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. And those opposed, please use the react button, but now click the red X mark. Okay. All right. Thank you. You have approved the procedures for the conduct of the state caucus. Thank you very much, everyone. All right. And now we move along to item 3, which is electing a chair and vice chair. And so I will turn to Chris Mulroney, who wants.
Yeah, hi, Chris Warnley, Framingham. I'd like to nominate Max Page as chair of the caucus.
And Julia Norman, Waltham, and I would like to second that.
Great. Thank you. Are there questions or comments about this nomination?
Do you want to be chair?
I'm glad to be chair, yes.
Can
Thank
we
you.
please remind that
Yeah.
Paul of the SSA is name and local?
Yes, please raise your
Sorry.
hand and put your.
How about Paul Johansson, Berkshire Community College?
Right. I do accept the nomination. All right. I'm not seeing other questions, so let's come to a vote. Use again, those in favor, please use your react button and you click the green check mark.
All right, I think we're good, Max.
Okay, thank you. So we'll clear that. And those opposed, please use the red check mark. Okay, Jen?
Okay.
Thank you all. I think you have elected me as the chair of the caucus. Thank you very much. I think we have another
Max,
question.
can I nominate Deb McCarthy as vice chair of the caucus?
Julia Norman Waltham, I second.
Great. Okay. Discussion on this point, on this nomination of Deb McCarthy as the vice chair of the caucus. Paul Johansson. I assume that's a question. Go ahead.
Paul Johansson, still Berkshire Community College. Deb, do you want to be vice chair?
I accept. Thank you.
Okay. All right, seeing no other questions, we'll ask that people, those in favor, please use your react button and click the green check mark.
I think we're good, Max.
Okay. All right, so we'll clear those. Thank you. And those opposed, please use the react button and click the red check, the red X. Okay. Good, Jen?
Yes.
All right, great. Deb McCarthy is elected vice chair of the caucus. Thank you very much. We look forward to helping lead us through a very productive RA. So now we are on item 4, which is the introduction of committees and key people. And I do want to name some of those people who have play a key role, starting with our NEA directors, John Bracey and Brian Fitzgerald, Kyle Jacoby, Deb Gesualdo, Chris Mulroney, our senior director, and Nicole Prevost. Thank you for representing us in the NEA space, and we will have you answer all the questions possible, and you will be responsible for that. No, really, thank you very much for representing us all year, and I think you will play a very important role, of course, in guiding us through the various debates. So thank you for that. Let me move this 1 second. And then I would also like to very heartily thank and recognize the members of the NEARA Planning Committee. A real big shout out to Julian Norman as the chair of our planning committee, and Chris Mulroney as our senior NEA director, as I mentioned, and managing the mentor program. Nicole Prevost is also managing that mentor program. Denise LaPaula, who will be our elections captain. Jada Simmons-Oneneme, who has for a number of years now been our accountability captain. Brenda Dunn as an integral member of this planning committee, and finally Tim Sullivan as our PAC captain. And as I mentioned before, the staff who will be with us throughout in helping us into the RA, Jennifer Freeling, Olivia Osiki, Sarah Ibanez, who I think could not be here today, and also Aaron Tracy, who is here. So really, thank you all. This has been a ton of work already, and it'll just crescendo all through the rest of the month and throughout the RA. So really appreciate you all your work in this. Dick, do you have a question?
Yes,
Raise your hand.
do
Go ahead.
you have a new business committee chair?
Yes, Kyle Jacoby is that chair. Yes. I think he may be
Thank you.
speaking a little bit later in the meeting. Okay, moving right along. I want to move to item 5, and introduce Jen to say a few words about the various types of fundraising that we have going on. Take it away, Jen.
Thanks, Max. So many of you know about political action committees. But if you don't, I am here to tell you about them. So political action committees are one of the ways in which unions and other organizations, but in this case, unions, can support friends of education and friends of labor. And the funds that are collected through a political action committee are used to make contributions to and expenditures on behalf of Friends of Public Education and Labor who are candidates for federal office. That's the NEA's Political Action Committee. All contributions are voluntary. I want to note that they're not tax deductible. So contributions are, you can't write them off on your taxes, but these are hugely important and go a long way in allowing an NEA to really hold up candidates for office that are going to support the NEA agenda and the public education agenda. Now, some of you may know Massachusetts has a law that prohibits public employees, like many of you are, from soliciting political contributions. And so we have to find some workarounds for some of this stuff. And that means we often name a PAC captain, a political action committee captain, that is a retired member of the MTA who are not prohibited in the same way that active public employees are. And as such, I would like to introduce Tim Sullivan, retired member who has agreed to and will do a fantastic job as our PAC captain this year. Tim Sullivan, are you here and would you mind jumping in?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right.
Just need to find.
Just a few things about the donations to PAC. Number one, we'll be having auctions, and we're still collecting items for the auction. And if any of you have anything you'd like to add to what we will be auctioning off, you can contact MTA at mtagovernance@massteacher.org. The auctions will take place at the caucuses meetings in Oregon. And currently, the gifts that a couple of the gifts will be auctioning off. One would be a barbecue for 6 in West Plymouth. Another one will be Boston Bruin tickets, 2 seats to a game. The seats are in lows 3, row 9, seats 5 and 6. Game to be determined, but the value of those tickets is $380. We will also be auctioning off the aisle seats at the RA, and those who bid on those seats will be the state contacts for the given states. So for the winners of these seats, you'll get an aisle or a second aisle seat. You'll also be the liaison between the Mass Caucus and the state caucuses for which seat cover you have won. For example, if you win Pennsylvania seat cover, you'll be the liaison between the Massachusetts delegation and the Pennsylvania delegation. And this is especially important when we want to gauge how other states are landing on particular business items as we move forward with the RA. We are at the beginning of the seat cover silent auction actually today, electronically. The link to the bid is in the chat. Please scroll through to find the state you'd like to bid on. Put both the bid amount and your name, and please do not overwrite anyone's bids. Future opportunities to bid on seats will be available in Portland. We'll have an opportunity at the welcome reception on Tuesday, July 1st. There'll be a second opportunity at the first caucus meeting on Wednesday, July 2nd. And then at the first caucus meeting, Wednesday, July 2nd, the second caucus meeting on Thursday, July 3rd, which is also the first day of the RA. We do want to let you know that we do not yet have the map of our footprint at the convention center, so we do not know yet where these seats will land in the convention center, but we should have that information by July 2nd. And auctions are a way to make giving to the PAC fun. Of course, there's no requirement to participate in the auctions, but we welcome you to do so. You're more than welcome to contribute to the PAC without participating in any of the auctions. And throughout everything, there will be a link to donate to the PAC at the chat for folks to access. And you'll be able to make your donation through there. The one thing I would add is the NEA always has a particular amount that they would like each individual to give. And as I recall in the past, it's usually been around $200, and that's doable for some and may not be doable for others. But what I would like to see personally is the amount of participation in the state delegation to be increased from years past. It's always good to head an upward projection. So I would ask that, everyone consider giving to the PAC, and whether it be through the auction or whether it just simply be donating on the website, we would appreciate your participation. And I look forward to working with all of you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Tim.
You're
Much
welcome.
appreciated. And all those links, as you see, are in the chat. Okay, we are really moving right along. Item 6 is I want to introduce Jada Simmons and Anonymous to talk about accountability and stipend review at the RA.
Max, Jada was in.
I'm still driving.
You're still
but
driving?
If you would like me to talk, I can, or you can pass me and I will be home in about 5 minutes or so.
We will go on and come back to you, Jada. Thank you. Stay safe. Okay, so let's come back in a few minutes. Let's go on to item 7, which is I want to introduce Jen again to explain the work of the RA Planning Committee and the planning of socials. Go ahead, Jen.
All right, thank you, Max. So I'm really just gonna introduce the committee, the chair of the committee and a couple of the folks on the committee. The committee does the work, and they did a great job planning this this trip for you. They've met 3 times to plan out both the business and the social events for the Massachusetts delegation to the RA. As we've mentioned throughout this meeting, and we'll continue to drive you to, the massteacher.org/RA webpage is your one-stop shop for everything you need related to being a Massachusetts delegation member to the RA. And we also have a Facebook group that I believe Olivia is going to share in the chat. If you are on Facebook and you haven't yet joined that group, I encourage you to do so. But to get into the details of what the committee worked on, I'd like to first start by introducing Nicole Prevost and Christine Mulroney, who are going to talk briefly about the mentor-mentee program for new delegates who are first-timers for this year's RA. And then after Chris and Nicole talk, we're going to hear from Julia Norman, the chair of the committee, to dig into some of the really great social events they've put together for you this year. So Chris and Nicole, are you available to talk about mentor-mentee?
Yeah, sure. Nicole, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So we have, as Jen mentioned, we have a program so people who are new or who just need some more experience can be matched up with someone who's done it before. And it's a great way to match up and have a conversation with people, like if you're packing, what to bring, things like that. It's just a great way to have another contact to make sure you have a great experience.
So what we typically do is we get the names from Jen when everyone's registered, and Nicole and I will pair you up. If you have someone specific you have in mind that you paired up with, somebody from your local going, we can make sure that you're paired up with that person. And then we have 2 times set aside to meet with you right before the Mass Caucus. We talk about the item agendas coming up for that day, materials you should bring to the floor, because you certainly don't want to bring everything every day because we don't cover everything every day. And just basic stuff like that. So if you are new, it's definitely worth doing, becoming a mentee. And if you have been around for a while, it's a lot of fun to be a mentor.
Great, thanks to you both. And those meetings of the formal meetings of the mentor mentees will occur on July 3rd and July 5th at 7:30 a.m. prior to our state caucus meetings. Okay. And then I'd like to invite Julia Norman, the chair of the NEARA Convention Planning Meeting. Julia, please join us and share all of the wonderful social events you guys have put together.
Absolutely. So I just want to also give a plug for the Facebook page. Please consider joining. It's a lot of business, but it's also a way for the delegation to connect. Like someone might go to a great restaurant and make a recommendation. Or say, I'm going to the beer festival this weekend, you know, like after the delegation after the RA lets out, who would like to join me? So there's a lot of different social events that are on there, but please make sure that you answer the membership questions. If you don't, Chris Mulroney will not accept your your membership to the group. So please make sure you do answer those. So we do have a couple of great events for you. The travel day is July 1st. And so the expectation is that you will be traveling on that day, and we will have a welcome reception hosted by Max and Deb at the 9th Hotel, and it's going to be from 7 to 9. And that's a little bit of a time change from maybe when you first registered, just based on some hotel restrictions that Oregon has about food and alcoholic beverages. So we hope to see you at the welcome reception that night. On July 2nd, we have our first caucus, and then that afternoon, you're expected to go over and do your registration. It's the easiest time to do it, so we highly recommend that you go on July 2nd when the caucus is over. And then we have arranged what's called the Portland Pink Trolley City Tour. It's like a hop-on, hop-off bus, but it's on a trolley. And you can do that all between 1:45 and 5 o'clock. It's a very loose, flexible schedule for you. And again, like if you don't have anyone to go with, reach out on the Facebook page and you're going to find people who want to travel around with you. Kathy, I think you have a question.
Go ahead.
I had to find the most to get you said July 1st is travel day, but is the welcome reception the 1st or the 2nd? Because the documentation said the 2nd. I just want to make sure. I had put it in my calendar already.
The documentation that I have up on the Facebook page, the schedule that I posted, says the 1st.
Okay.
So
just because I have it down for the 2nd. That's why I want to make sure.
Yeah, no,
okay.
it's on the 1st, yeah, on the travel day, yeah.
I will change that. Thank you so much.
You bet. And then we also have the NEA HCR dinner. A couple of people who are new delegates have reached out to me about this on Facebook, but this is nearly sold out. So if you're interested in going, it is more of a formal event. I'm happy to talk to anyone who has questions about it. But the Human and Civil HCR stands for Human and Civil Rights for those of you who are new, and that is also on July 2nd, which is our one caucus day. And then we start July 3rd is day one.
Hold on for 1 second, Julia. I don't know if Sue, do you have a question? Sue Doherty?
Sorry, Sue.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. No, my question was that if you didn't sign up for the hop on, hop off and you want to do it that day, do you think you can? Like I registered, but I didn't sign up for anything because I wanted to wait till I got there.
Like, what?
Like the hop on, hop off bus thing of the trolley.
Yeah, you can still sign up for it.
Sign up when you get there.
Let me double check that, Sue.
Yeah.
I'm just not, I want to double check with the with both our events person and that vendor. So I'll double check and
It's not a big deal because I think, it's one of those things. I just figured I'd wait till I got there and then see what I felt like doing. But thank you.
Yeah. One of the things with the hop on, hop off trolley, why we wanted to get pre-arranged tickets is thinking about that we're just one delegation out of many state delegations that are going to be there, and thinking that it's probably going to be something that a lot of delegations want to do. So that's kind of why we were kind of pre-arranging tickets. So just keep that in the back of your head as well.
Okay.
On July 3rd, we're going to have a little social at Swine, Moonshine, and Whiskey. And it says that it starts at 5:30, but we recognize that a lot of delegates might not be able to make it by then. So just know that some of these start times are a little bit flexible because really, we want to engage in connection and in these social events, but our primary role there is to be on the floor of the RA and doing the business of the RA. So if we don't get there till like 6:30, don't stress about it. Okay. We'll all be there and we'll all be enjoying the time together, but we still, we just kind of put a kind of a rough time estimate on that one. And then on July 4th, we have a really fun location. I'm really excited about this. It's a Punch Bowl Social, and it's both the July 3rd and July 4th are walking distance from the from the MTA hotel, excuse me. We're not sure that we're going to be able to see fireworks from the windows of the venue, but like last year, we can walk a short couple of blocks right to the river and we will be able to see the fireworks, which can be kind of nice seeing the fireworks on the water. And then on July 5th, we also have the NEA LGBTQ plus caucus dinner. And Jen, do you know if we have tickets that's still available for that?
And I'll check and I'll chime in when I get an answer for that.
Okay, perfect. And I did want to say also, I did skip this over. It wasn't in our notes, but I'm just remembering it right now that on July 3rd, the same night as the Swine, Moonshine, and Whiskey Social, I want to give a plug for the Hispanic Caucus is having their Latin Nights dance party on that night as well. If you are interested in attending that, I'm gonna guess that Rosa Lopez Whitehill is going to have tickets and for purchase at our caucuses. If you purchase them before, I believe it's a lower price. So that is also on July 3rd. If you go to the Facebook page, I have a rough schedule, like the whole schedule all kind of mapped out for you. We also have some t-shirt theme days. So I think, is Brenda going to do the t-shirts or am I going to do that? Should I just keep going, Jen?
Yeah, keep going. Yep,
Okay.
you're on.
Okay, perfect. So first thing I want to say is we have theme days. They are completely optional, right? You do not have to wear this clothing, right? But it is fun way for us to kind of be unified as a delegation. Cedric, do you have a question?
I do. I wanted to ask about the site because I've tried several times to pay and it's not allowing me to pay. And I tried with several different credit cards.
With our social event sign up
Yes,
site, Cedric.
yes,
You know
yes.
what? If you could send me an email, we'll deal with whatever issue you're having. The person who handles those payments is out of town right now, so it may be Thursday that we sort it out. But just shoot me an email and we'll sort through that issue.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
So our very first day, July 3rd, is going to be MTA or local Pride Day. So if you have an MTA shirt that you want to wear, or your local association has a shirt, that's going to be July 3rd. July 4th is red, white, and blue or black. And then July 5th is going to be Boston Sports Day. And July 6th is going to be wear your college or high school gear shirt for that day. And it says MTAB, we have an MTAB flyer also. Are we going to put that link in the chat? Awesome. So MTAB, for those of you who don't know, stands for Massachusetts Teachers Association's benefits, and they have worked out some discounts with the NEA as well for us when we are in Portland. So that's going to go in the chat so you can see some of the discounts that you can get when you are in Portland. Last thing I just want to say is I know that Chris and Nicole are doing a great job with the mentor program, but sometimes you have questions before you get your mentor. So feel free to reach out to any of the NEA directors, to myself, to Jen, any of us. We will answer your questions. Questions of like, do I book this? What do I do? When do I get this? People have been emailing me. I'm happy to help out. Chris, Nicole, everyone is happy to help out. So please don't hesitate if you're not sure what you're doing. That's what we're here for. We don't want anyone to feel confused or stressed out about this. Lisa, I see Lisa has a hand up.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to be tech
ahead.
savvy and putting the days in my notes, but you went too fast for me to do that. So I just want to, so the third is MTA or local, the fourth is red, white, and blue or black, and what are the fifth and sixth?
The fifth is Boston sports.
Okay.
They're also in the chat. We'll see.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, and the sixth is college or high school pride.
Got it. Sorry. Thank you.
Julia, thanks for taking that on there. I was having some, connection trouble.
No worries. So I'm going to turn it over to Max about our hotel information, or should I turn it over to Aaron for hotel information, I believe.
I think that is Erin's job. Thanks, Erin.
Great. Thank you, Max and Julia. I'm Erin Tracy. I'm the events producer and training professional learning, and I'm going to share some information on both the hotel and transportation. So I am going to share my screen. But just before I do, a few pieces of information. We will have this presentation available for you, so don't feel like you have to take copious notes. Also, so much of the information you need about hotels is on the website, which has been shared throughout, and I know Olivia will pop the website in at some moment. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share. Okay. Can everyone see okay? You're seeing a picture of the hotel? Yes. Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. So our hotel is the Nines Hotel, downtown Portland. My contact information is right there on this slide. It is also on the last slide. Usually at this point in the presentation, I share the very complex way that the hotel is usually selected, which is a very democratic process. It's like a draft. But that actually didn't happen this year. And the reason is because NEARA is the largest convention to ever take place in Portland. And because of that, we only just fit. And so because of that, the NEA actually selected the hotels for all of the states just to make it all work out. And with that, there are, every year there are some things about the hotels that are not ideal. And so it's good to have this time for me to kind of share some things about the hotels just so you can be prepared for them. Of course, I think everyone already knows that the big thing with this hotel is it's definitely pricier than we usually aim for when we travel to the NEA cities. All right, so I want to speak about payment because I think it helps a lot when everyone knows exactly what to expect when you're on site. So at the time that you made your reservation, you would have provided a credit card, maybe a debit card. And then when you arrive at the hotel to check in, that is the time when the registration staff will put a hold on that credit card or another credit card you provide right then. And I hate this whole terminology of hold versus charges, because to me, it doesn't feel any different. When they put a hold on your credit card, that money is not available to you anymore. So it's not very different than if it was a charge. And then when you check out, that is when the hold actually turns into a charge. So some people are looking for some alternatives if that exact process doesn't work for you. If you have a roommate, you may want to make sure that the hold and the charge is split between two credit cards. The best way to make sure that this happens is that when you go to check in, go along with your roommate so that you can both provide your credit cards so the staff right there can split both the hold and the charges between the two credit cards. If you're paying by check, again, there are specific instructions on the website, but essentially you want the check to be in the hand of the hotel at least 1 week before you arrive. And I suggest after you put it in the mail, wait a couple days and then call the hotel up just to make sure that they've received the check. And when you send the check, make sure you include the information, both the name and the dates of your stay so that they apply it to the right reservation. If there's anything that's more complicated than that, please do email me. My email address is there as well. There are a few cases where maybe the treasurer is involved and providing a credit card. Then a credit card authorization form has to be filled out, and I can connect you with the correct hotel person to give you those forms. One thing, unfortunately, that is different this year, this is something we always try to negotiate with the hotel, that our delegates do not have to experience an incidental hold. But just like we couldn't get the rate under 200, I was not able to get 0 incidental hold. So I just want to make sure you're aware that the incidental hold for the entire stay will be $100. So when you check in, the credit card they have on file, they will place a hold of $100 on that card. This is one of those things, it's not their normal process. Their normal process would be $300. So I just want you to be aware of this arrangement. So, what usually happens is maybe 99% of the time it's right, but one person may have a staff person who just defaults to their normal routine. So if you hear $300, you can say, no, we have a special arrangement for $100. And then they tend to always find that within the notes. And just keep in mind, if you do charge anything then to your room, they're always going to be doing whatever they need to do to get that amount open back up to $100. A little more detail on that. All right, now just a few little FAQs I thought I could review because these may be useful. One is about if you have not booked a room yet, there are still actually a few rooms and the hotel did just extend the deadline until tomorrow. So if you haven't booked a room, even though all the deadlines say June 5th, you can still do that. Again, go through our website to make that happen. One thing a few people pointed out is that there actually wasn't a space to indicate who your roommate is. And so if it's important for you to make sure that your roommate is also listed on your reservation, you can email that information to me and I'll make sure the hotel has it. Here's a little sticking point for me that I'm very frustrated with, but again, I tried to work around it and we're just kind of stuck with it, is that the hotel rooms do not have refrigerators. They do all have mini bars. And I highly suggest don't even try to stuff anything else into that mini bar, because what will happen is it'll affect the sensors and inevitably you'll get charged for something that you never utilized. If it's worthwhile for you, you could pay, it would be a full charge of $75 for that fridge to be emptied for the whole week. It's just that they need to cover, their labor cost to make that all happen. And then the other item that I wanted to just review is that the check-in time is 4 o'clock. And I especially wanted to highlight this because I know a lot of flights get in the late morning. I've mentioned it to them. It's just there is no way to ever guarantee that people will get early check-ins. So please just don't expect it. Have the plan that you'll go to the hotel, you'll go to the front desk, give them your information and your phone number, and they'll text you when your room is ready, but it is not likely that you'll be able to get in before 4 o'clock. And of course, you can leave your luggage with the folks at the front desk. All right. Claire, I see your question. Is it relevant to something?
Yes, it is.
That I just covered? Yeah.
I realized that there were no refrigerators, so I put that in my request because I have medication that has to be refrigerated. Does that?
Yeah, that's a good point. Generally, I feel like hotels do often have refrigerators available for medical needs, and I would hope that they don't charge in those cases. You can let me know if that happens. And I think I would just ask the group as a whole, let's let the people who really need them for medical reasons get their requests in, because I'm not sure, I can find out, but how many they have in inventory, but those extra fridges could go pretty quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, so now I'm going to talk about transportation from the airport to the hotel. Basically 2 options, of course. They do have their public transportation line, which is the Max Light Rail, does run from the airport to the hotel, runs every 15 minutes, $2.50. The stop that you're going for is the Pioneer Square stop, and it is 1 minute from our hotel. Takes 40 minutes. The website is there. Of course, you could take a taxi or some sort of rideshare service. Might be shorter if it's not traffic, and the pricing information is there, roughly $41. And you will become very familiar with the Max Light Rail system. I have more details on it here because this will be our shuttle while we are in Portland. All NEARA delegates will receive one of the hot passes, which covers both the light rail, but also streetcar lines and city buses for the dates July 2nd through 7th. We, the MTA staff, will get those tickets from NEA and we will pass them out to you at the first state caucus meeting at the Nines Hotel in Portland. And the Max runs 4 a.m. to midnight. I have a few more details about how that kind of affects getting to the convention center. So again, there are 2 stops right outside the hotel, both Pioneer, Courthouse, or Square. It's a 1-minute walk to the hotel or to the stop, and then you would get off at the convention center stop. I'm just sharing this kind of as like the first layer of information. You will keep hearing this, and you will get a lot of information from us at the hotel and also from the NEA. There are 3 different lines, the red, green, or blue, and those first 2 days, there will be tons of city ambassadors all around that area just to make sure that people are getting on the right trains. Once you're on the train and it's going, it's about a 15-minute ride. I believe the caucus meeting is ending at 9 just to allow plenty of time for travel and for wait time, because there are a lot of other NEARA delegates who are also downtown. If you prefer walking, it's about 31 minutes and it's 1.4 miles. And that is it. Again, if you haven't booked, I suggest you do it today or tomorrow. And once again, here is my information. I suggest that if you have more questions that you email me, because I know a lot of times they're just very specific to your situation. And I'm happy to follow up with those right away. Give you a moment and then we'll stop sharing.
Thank you, Aaron. It looks like Alex Rivera has a question.
Hi, it's just a quick question. So I'm gonna be going to the CRSJ. Would MTA still pay for the Uber ride from the hotel there to the MTA hotel?
I do not know that.
Alex, I encourage you to reach out to me directly about this. It's complicated. It depends on which day we're talking about and all of those things. So if you could send me an email and we'll work out the details for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I may have internet issues. Can you hear me though?
He can hear you, yes.
Oh, Jahira Rodriguez, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Max. Hi, everyone. So I apologize. I'm a little late, so I don't know if you guys have this conversation, but would it be possible that we share a little bit about the resolution members, as there's a lot of new resolution members and they don't know like how it works when it comes like from moving to NEA to MTA hotel. If you guys can share a little bit of that would be great for the new members.
So Jahira, we haven't gotten to resolutions yet, and we're probably not going to get into the details of funding for the resolutions committee members tonight. But I'm kind of glad you raised your hand, because we didn't nail anyone down from the resolutions committee to present on resolutions tonight, and so you raised your hand, which means I'm going to ask you, would you be willing to present a little bit about the resolutions committee? And in the meantime, I will make sure to reach out to those 6 members of the resolutions committee and initiate a conversation about how the funding works. And Jahira, also one quick note on that, there's a policy that will be with the board this Friday that will relate to funding for resolutions committee members. So I'm hesitant to, let's wait till the board acts on Friday for that.
Sounds good. Let me
Okay,
know when you want me to talk about resolution. I'm happy to share.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Jahira. Dick, you have a question? Dick Shea?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to be attending the NEAR annual meeting for 2 days. I'm wondering how I'm going to get from, because we've been encouraged to stay at the host hotel the whole time, and I've booked the rooms. I'm sharing the room with an active member who will only be using it for 5 days, so I'll have to pay the entire amount for the other days. But how do I get from the host hotel to, I think it's the Marriott, but I'm not certain, the NEA annual meeting, our annual meeting hotel?
So Dick, why don't you send me an email and
right.
we'll work through your travel questions individually. I'm happy to support you offline on this. I know there's specificities to those who are also attending the retired annual meeting as well. So let's shoot me an email and we'll get
All
that
right.
conversation started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right, I think we have Jada is on now. Just let me know if you're here, Jada, because we'll go back to the accountability issue if you are. There you are. I see you. Okay, take it away. Going back in on the agenda to talk about the accountability system.
So Jada Simmons Anonymous from Everett and the accountability chair. So NEA has the requirement that all states have an accountability. Massachusetts accountability is called a CHIT. Each day of the RA, there are 2 sessions, a morning session and an afternoon session. In the morning, there'll be a CHIT, and in the afternoon, there'll be a different color CHIT. All delegates are required to fill out the chits. You need 75% of the chits in order to receive the stipend at the end. Now, every day has to have at least 1 chit, and it has to be from the 2 different sessions. I'm going to be looking for people to help hand out the chits, but I will be doing that the first day of our caucus. I will be looking for people to help for the morning and the afternoon. You can do one or you can do all day. That is up to you. The chits will ask for your delegate number. So MTA has a list of delegates, and next to your name is your delegate number. I encourage you to write it on the back of your badge so that you can remember it. And you have to put that number in your signature. When we are handing out the chits, it is important that you stay in your seat and not jump into a seat, as we already counted the row. You will get a chit. You can just come to a person standing on the side instead of trying to jump in the row and get your chit. But the chit is to basically your accountability piece that says that you showed up for the RA and you were on the floor. And if you have any other questions, you can see me. Thank you. Max, did you need me to say more?
Thank you, Jada. No, that's great. You'll be seeing Jada a lot during the course of the RA. And if there's any concerns, you bring it to her, not to me, even though we have a long conversations about when to do these accountabilities. Okay. I think the next person is Cheryl Norris, if I'm not mistaken. We had to skip around a bit. So I think we are on item 9, NEA elections update. So Cheryl Norris from Winchester Education Association.
Hi, thanks, Max. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the pre-convention meeting. I'm on the elections committee with Denise Lapola from Belmont, and we will be attending a meeting on July 1st at 10 a.m. to get all the information that you will need to know about voting in this year's NEA RA elections. On the first caucus meeting, typically we will then give you the information that we have learned at our meeting, and will be all the directions on who's running for office, how to vote, what you need to bring for voting. It's pretty straightforward, similar to like voting at the MTA annual meeting. So on the second, we will provide you with lots of information at the first caucus meeting. And that's basically it.
Thanks, Cheryl. Max, back to you.
Okay. I think we go on to Am Cecile Floty. Right? Hi, Am.
Hi, Max. Hi, everybody. I'm on the agenda to talk about the On the Floor lottery. And just a little bit about that. It's just a little fun way to try to incentivize members to stay on the floor, both at our caucus meeting for our Massachusetts caucus, but also while we're on the floor of the RA. And what it is you'll see me and my colleagues from the Framingham delegation at a table while we're on the Massachusetts caucus days, and you can purchase a ticket. Tickets are $10, and when you purchase a ticket, you receive like a little stub, and it goes into a big pot where every day at the end of our caucus meeting, and then twice while we are on the floor of the actual RA, we pull a name, and that person receives money, basically cash. And it is not, unfortunately, it doesn't go towards your PAC donation. So it doesn't go towards the political action committee. It's literally just a little fun activity for all of us to stay accountable and also, you know, kind of incentivize that and make it more fun. I can speak more to you guys about it on the day of the RA, but that's the gist of how it works.
Max, can I just
Thank
say that
you, Em.
Jen put the accountability list in the chat if people would like to sign up.
Great. You'll see that from Jen. Thank you.
Max,
Yes.
can I add one thing about the on the floor? This is Chris Mahoney, Framingham.
Yes.
So we like to think of on the floor like an Irish vote. Vote, you know, pay early and often. So the more you buy, the more you have to win, and your ticket goes back in. So if you have 10 tickets in there from day one, you'll have 10 tickets in there at the end. And I will say the pot is pretty significant at the end. So early and often, people, early and often.
Good. Thank you, Chris. All right, Jen, I'm going to turn it to you now for a couple of things. First, for volunteers, request for volunteers, item 11, and then logistics and schedule of events.
Great. All right. Okay, so Jada gave a little preview of some of the requests that we will make, but we have a lot of, or we have a lot of need for volunteers at the RA. One of those needs is to help our accountability queen, Jada Ononome. We also, as many of you know, we have an NBI committee that needs to be populated. Kyle Jacoby will be the chair of that committee, but we'll need volunteers to sit and work on that committee. We'll also need volunteers to wave flags on the floor of the RA, and we'll have various shifts for those. So for those of you who are new delegates, after the delegation votes during our caucus meetings on how you all want to support or not support particular business item agendas that come on the floor of the RA, we then have people who hold flags to remind you of how the delegation landed on supporting or not supporting those votes. So we'll need folks to hold flags. And then we'll need tellers to help us count votes of the elections that we'll hold on site. Olivia put all of those sign up sheets into the chat. Please sign up. If you don't sign up now, we're going to keep begging you through the first couple of times that we see you in Oregon. So please sign up, and we'll reach out to you with details about what it means, what you've volunteered for. I also want to share, you know, we've shared a few times over that, you know, massteacher.org/RA is going to be the place where you'll find lots of information related to the RA. You will find, we haven't gotten this posted quite yet, but we will get it posted soon, the MTA schedule of events. We put a Word document together that Olivia is going to share in the chat that's for tonight, but eventually we'll get that loaded onto the massteacher.org website. And then we also want to share with you where you can access NEA's schedule of events. So I believe Olivia's putting that into the chat. If she hasn't yet, she will momentarily. I see a question. Dick, do you have a question?
Just a point, and basically for the benefit of those who are going to the RA for the first time. Even though the delegation may vote one way or the other on a business item, you are not bound by that. If you're in your view, in your personal one man, one vote view, if you disagree with the delegation's position, you can vote your own conscience. You don't have to vote the way the delegation votes. You know,
That's right.
it's just a
No,
point.
thank you for saying that, Dick. And I'll just add one little layer to that. It could be one woman, one vote too, or
Oh.
one person, one vote too.
Did I should have said one person.
No, I'm teasing you.
Sorry.
No, not at all. I'm teasing you. But Dick is right. You are not by any means obligated to vote with the body, but that's a resource to you, and those flags are a resource to you to remind you of how the body landed. All right, that's it from me on the schedule of events.
Okay.
And back to you, Max.
Thanks, Jen. I think we're now on to Chris Mulroney, our Senior NEA Director, to talk about approval of endorsement procedure for candidates for NEA office.
Yeah, so I'm sorry to interrupt. Before we do that, I see Katie
Go
LaCar is
ahead.
up.
Thanks, Jen. And just to let you know,
Sorry,
the
I'm sorry. Go
four,
ahead, Kate.
can you hear me? Okay, okay. The forms we cannot edit. I wanted
Yes.
to sign up for some of them and we're not allowed to. And I'm not the only one who's having that issue.
Super annoying. I'll try to fix that right now and repost. And hopefully we thank you for letting us know.
Okay,
And can
thank
we
you.
add phone numbers, please?
Yes.
So Chris Mulroney, Framingham. One of the things that happens at the RA when we're meeting in caucus is candidates for positions will sometimes come and talk to us. So Max will stop our meetings, someone running for office, executive board, or leadership position, vice president, president, would talk. And this year we do have some executive board positions that are opened, and they may be coming around to talk. And the option is for delegation to take a position to endorse a candidate for one of the positions. That would come from the floor when we're at the RA at our caucus meeting. Somebody would move to endorse a specific candidate. It would be seconded. Someone could speak to why they feel we should endorse that candidate as a delegation, and then the delegation would vote to endorse or not. And again, as Dick said, you certainly can choose to vote your conscience when you are doing the voting at the RA, because that is done in private. But there is an option should the delegates want to take a position, want the Mass Caucus to take a position for us to move to endorse candidates. That's it.
Great, Chris. And I think you are also talking along with Nicole, maybe, about the next item.
Sure, Chris Mulroney, Framingham. So one of the other things that you do vote in private, and we will get that schedule of when we vote, is for any bylaw constitutional amendments. This year, it's sort of relatively new, is we only have one bylaw amendment, proposed bylaw amendment to vote on at the RA. And this bylaw amendment has to do with section bylaw 511 around meetings, and this would that one meeting would be held in connection with the annual meeting or in substitution of the annual meeting if the need arised. Basically, bylaw 511 provides the number of meetings in a year and that one of them is connected to or around the time of the annual meeting or representative assembly. If this bylaw is adopted, it would provide that the NEA board convene in substitute of the annual meeting in the event that annual meeting, for whatever reason, could not convene. The executive board moved this position and we voted on it at the board of directors, and we moved in opposition to this bylaw amendment. And that is the only bylaw amendment.
I'm gonna go over the standing rules. Brian's gonna help, but I'm gonna do standing rule 1 through 5, but I think I saw a question first. Am?
Yes, hi. Chris, can you just speak a little bit about what the reasoning was behind the opposition? I just want to be clear as to what the board was thinking.
Yeah, this is a very good question, and I'm going to be totally honest. At the board meeting, all the Mass delegates, all the Mass directors were actually on 2 meetings. So we had the MTA annual meeting in one ear, and we were trying to pay attention to the board meeting, and we didn't do either one very successfully. So I don't recall. I am waiting to hear. I did email the chair of the Bylaw and Constitution Committee, and she's going to get back to me later today. But then I can send that perhaps to Jen, and she can send it out to the delegates. I knew somebody was going to ask that question.
And I'm gonna be the same as Chris as we go over the standing rules. It was very hard to pay attention to 2 meetings. I did the best I could.
All right.
Standing rule number 1 is limiting the total daily duration of agenda items not related to the delegate debate. Essentially, what they would like to do is, except for the keynote address of the president, they would like to limit the time of speaking to no total more than 75 minutes daily. Standing rule number 2 is closing debate. Instead of 1 speaker for and 1 speaker against, this standing rule would like to move it to 2 speakers for and 2 speakers against. And the chair may move the question if there are no speakers on a side of a motion. And the NEA board opposed that. Standing rule number 3, order of business. What they would like to do is change the second business meeting to 90 minutes of debate and for at least 2 hours at each subsequent meeting. And again, the NEA board opposed. Standing rule number 4, elections shall be by secret ballot by the delegates to the Representative Assembly. The NEA board supported that. And standing rule number 5, secret ballot shall mean a procedure for voting on slips of paper or via secure electronic ballot on which the voter may mark in secrecy. And again, the NEA board supported that. Brian?
Thank you, Nicole. Good evening, everybody. Brian Fitzgerald, Wareham Education Association here. I'll speak about the other 5 proposed amendments to standing rules. You might hear some overlap. Some of these came from state delegations. I'll describe what they would intend and then how the NEA Board of Directors voted on it. These will all be voted on by a voice vote at the NEARA. Amendment number 6 simply eliminates the provision that registration materials must be sent by mail. It would simply delete the words by mail, so materials could be sent electronically. The NEA board voted to support. Standing Rule 7, a bit similar to one of the ones that Nicole described. The 7th amendment that's proposed would be that rather than requiring that NBIs be debated for at least 1 hour in the second day and each subsequent day, this amendment would require that NBIs, new business items, would be debated for at least 90 minutes on each day, including day 1. If you have questions or clarification, please let me know. I don't think I can share my screen. I know it's hard to take this in as somebody's just saying it. Standing rule, the 8th proposed amendment to the standing rules would not allow members to yield time while at the microphone at representative assemblies. It would eliminate it would actually say that a member shall not yield the microphone or speaking time to another delegate. The board had voted to oppose that. I apologize. The board voted to support sending mails not by mail. The board voted to oppose requiring NBIs receive 90 minutes of time. And the board voted to oppose the elimination of yielding time or yielding the microphone. The 9th proposed amendment, this is a bit tricky. People are who have been to RAs will remember there have been times when we have voted on an idea that required a change in both the bylaws and the Constitution. And the only way the change could happen would be if the membership voted yes on one and yes on the other. The standing rules that the NEA has have up to now said that if either one of them fails, the idea is dead. This proposed amendment would say that if the amendment passes, then on one of the two, then it would be held in abeyance until such time as it passes on the other one. So to try to make it clear, what it would say is that if a proposed amendment to the Constitution passes, then it is held until the connected proposal passes as an amendment to the bylaws. There's no limit for how long it would be good. So again, if you've been to past ones, you know that we have times we have an idea that has to pass both in bylaws and constitutions. And if you lose on one, the idea dies. This would say if you win on one and lose on the other, you can come back on the second part that needs to go through for some of your more complicated changes. The board voted to oppose that. And finally, standing rule amendment number 10, which has the board support, gives state delegations more flexibility on when they hold elections for resolutions committee. Right now, it is expressly written that it must be held during the third state delegation meeting. This amendment would change it so that it simply must be held at a time and place that does not conflict with the resolutions committee meeting, and that it be held not later than the first day. So it would require that state delegations vote for the resolutions committee members for the following year on that first business meeting of the delegation. And the board voted to support that. Different states meet at different times and different schedules. And in some states, the current rule has held it that the way the current rule has been written is that they were voting on members to be elected to the resolutions committee at the same time as the resolutions committee meeting, which was a bit awkward. And that's all the standing rule amendments that are proposed. I'm happy to review them. I'm happy to answer any questions, although, like Nicole and Chris, we were in 2 meetings at once, which meant we were in each meeting about halfway, and apologies for that. Dennis.
Okay.
Brian, this isn't strictly for you, it's just for whoever can answer it. When will we be getting a printed version of all the things that have been discussed, the constitutional amendment and the 10 items that you guys just went through?
I don't have an answer to that question. Chris?
Yeah, I know they're all up on the website, but I assume they'd be sending them to us, or we would be picking them up when we got there. When you register, we typically, unless you're a green delegate, we typically get that packet when we register.
I always thought, and I've been to many NEARA, that it would be nice. I mean, it's okay if you can get them on the website. I don't have a problem with that. But it really is, to me, important to have things in advance and enough time to read through them and to reflect and kind of cogitate and, ahead of time, because things can get kind of hectic, when you get there.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought. Thank you.
Thank
Max,
you.
can I say one thing about standing rules quickly?
Go ahead.
We had a NEA board meeting a couple of weeks ago. I think I've lost track of time. Thank you, end of the year. And Becky has suggested, because as you stated, this is such an odd time, we need so much action, we need really a lot of time to debate. Becky is suggesting that we actually just leave the standing rules the way they are. Don't spend a lot of time debating standing rules. Just leave standing rules the way they are for this year so that we can have the time and the actual time to debate. You're welcome to do what you want with that, but that was the suggestion from President Pringle, was that we leave standing rules the way they are, don't take the time to debate them, and just move on with the business of the RA.
Thank you, Nicole. Yes, we will, and we'll have a chance to discuss all of these again, of course, at our first caucus meeting out in Portland. But I do want to go on, looking also at time, and I want to respect that we said this would go to 6:30. So now, Jahaira, now is your moment. I want to introduce Jahaira Rodriguez to discuss the NEA resolutions. And just to quickly note, the NEA Resolutions Committee includes Brenda Dunn from the Springfield Education Association, Ryan Hoyt from the Waltham Educators Association, Betsy Praval from the Cambridge Education Association, Jahaira Rodriguez for the Classified Staff Union, Jahaira Rodriguez for the Education Association of Worcester, and Roxanne Campbell from the Revere Teachers Association. So go ahead, Jahaira.
Thank you, Max. I'm just going, I apologize. I was not ready for you, Max, which is the first time. It's not a bad thing. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure that I opened the computer. So the resolution committee did get together during the summer and during February as well. We talk about a lot of the things that we wanted to be working on. And one of the biggest things that was talking about, it was about AI and how we are going to make sure that we are up to date with what's going on and with AI and all the, we talk about immigrations, trying to open my resolution page right now. We are meeting from June 30th until July 2nd, I believe. I'm gonna give you the information. Let me just get into my emails. I apologize. I was just not ready. And then let me see. So, okay. So, resolution. So as one of the things that we also have with resolution is that is at the same time that is the RSG, the Racial and Social Justice Conference. So sometimes it's a little bit difficult to do that, both of them at the same time. Resolution is going to be together from the 30th to July 2nd. Is going to be in the Higher Regency. We have the first day we have for new resolution members will be getting all the information that we need. As you guys know, the resolutions are ideas that we as an organization believe in. The biggest thing, like I said, is about AI. A lot of the things that we've been discussing that we really want to focus is what's going on right now with our government when it comes to immigrations and the laws and everything. Here we go. New business items. Max, I normally send you guys so you can put it in the newsletter, all the resolutions. We have one that is share responsibility with support of public education. There's several logins that went to the different subcommittee. For those who don't know, resolution also have different subcommittees that get together and allow us to actually focus more and everything that has to do with resolution. My team is my subcommittee has to do with student health. We have 3 or 4 items that we are working on it right now. I'm going to share with you the numbers, and I can send you a link, Max, if you want to, of all the resolutions that are going to be discussed.
They're actually in the chat, Jahaira, so I don't think you have to review all of them. If you just want to note them there, I think there was a link in the chat. Maybe someone wants to repost that, but they are already there for people to review it. And I do want to underscore what Dennis said. I know it's not in paper, but you have all the links, and the links I think all come off. You can get them off of the massteacher.org/RA website. Really important to review in advance. So don't feel like you need it right now to go through in great detail.
I can just share 3 of them that I think is good to think about. Is C45. It says student use of electronic and social media. As I explained, we're struggling a lot with AIs. There's certain districts that like it. There's other states that don't like it because they feel like the kids are cheating. There's one that has to do with student rights and responsibilities. One of the biggest one, and we've been fighting this since last year, is about discipline, because the person that submitted was talking more about like discipline, but it was like in a way that was like negative, and it was not including like the cyberbullying and everything that goes on with it. But I think it's important that know that the biggest thing that is going to happen is discipline, AI, and immigration. Those are the things that resolution are focusing the most this year. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jahaira, and the whole team on resolutions. Appreciate it. We are on to so item 16. I think Brian Fitzgerald, NEA Director, come on back on to talk about the legislative program.
Okay. Still here, and thankfully, this is a lot simpler than what I was talking about earlier. There are 3 proposals to change the legislative program, but I see under resolutions there was a bullet update to MTA policy, Max. I don't know if someone's going to speak to that. I'm guessing it's the election of resolutions committee members.
I'm not
Yes, we
actually
made
sure.
a change. We made a change in our policy
Oh,
about
okay.
when we elect MTA resolutions members so that they are seated for the entire year. But I can't remember the exact specific language, but we did want to update people if they are interested in running for NEA resolutions, what that change is. So I'm not sure if somebody has that exact language, but I think we wanted to review that in case people are interested in running this year.
Brian, why don't you go ahead and we'll try to find that language.
Okay. I think it's the idea of 2-year terms is what I'm guessing that. But quickly about the legislative program, folks, this is the essentially the NEA's legislative priorities, and there are 3 changes that are being proposed. One proposal would be that the NEA would believe that we change the Federal Unemployment Tax Act so that ESPs are eligible for unemployment benefits between terms. The law doesn't preclude ESPs from receiving unemployment benefits between terms, but we want to make it explicit that they are eligible for those benefits. The other 2 changes are happy ones, removing from the legislative program, working toward the repeal of the GPL WEP, those laws that kept us from receiving our deserved Social Security. And we're taking them out of the program because we won, and we no longer need to ask for something that we won. And that's all that it is.
Huge, huge victory. Thank you, Brian, for reminding us of that.
Do you want me to speak about the resolutions? Like I'm pretty familiar with.
Go ahead.
So folks, what resolutions committee members have been elected for 1-year terms, as long as I think any of us can remember. On Friday, the MTA board will be voting on a change of policy that would change it so that the terms of resolutions committee members would be for 2 years, as they are in most other states. The transition would mean that we would elect 6 resolutions committee members in Portland, 3 for a 1-year term and 3 for a 2-year term. And then every year after that, they would be on 2-year terms. Jahara mentioned that there are subcommittees. There's a whole hierarchy and structure there. Some people want to get very involved, and being on a 2-year term would allow some predictability. So there's a very good chance when we get to Portland, there will be availability for people to be elected for a 2-year term to resolutions rather than just 1 year and coming back annually. Again, the MTA board has to vote on that on Friday, but there's a possibility that's what will be awaiting us when we get to the Rose City.
Great. Thank you, Brian. And now I think it's back to Chris Mulroney.
Yeah, Chris Mulroney, Framingham. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the proposed budget. It's very similar to the way that MTA does their process. So this year, for the dues determination, they for the 24-25, they determined the average salary of a classroom teacher was around $70,000, and the average salary for an ESP was around $38,400. And so the dues increase would be $6 for active certified staff and $5 for ESPs, with retired active remaining at $35, retired ESP at $21, and the aspiring educators would remain also at $15. So dues for certified go from $213 to $219, and for active ESP from $126.50 to $131.50. That's it.
Thank you, Chris. Okay. I want to introduce Kyle Jacoby on item 18 to talk about the NEA policy statement.
Awesome, already. Kyle Jacoby, Wellesley. Thank you so much. On the NEA website, you can find the list of policy statements, or just now in the chat. Thank you, Olivia, for posting those. There are 7 policy amendments We can think of policy as kind of like a default roadmap for when something happens, how the NEA leadership reacts without necessarily going back to the entire membership in between an RA or between governing bodies. So policies help drive the mission and the focus of the organization when there's nobody in front of leadership. The seven policy changes really all have to do around the anti-oppression work and the social justice work and racial equity work of the NEA. All seven policies, I think, are really responsive to the current political climate. Specifically, three of them talk about restorative justice or restorative practice. In many cases, trying to update the word from just restorative justice to restorative practice when there is a specific behavior or expectation to be called upon within the policy. And then there are a few policy changes that are trying to emphasize cultural relevance in ethnic studies. So we've seen like the attacks on quote unquote DE&I, diversity, equity, and inclusion curriculum. This is reaffirming our collective commitment as the NEA to those curricula, to those specific studies, and also the inclusion of marginalized voices across our curricula and across our profession. So those are the seven updates. I would not call these housekeeping or cleanups. These are, in fact, thoughtful and supportive of the work that the NEA does every day. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has them.
Thank you, Kyle. And we will, of course, have further chance to discuss this, right, in Portland. So I think you are on for the next item as well, which is the procedure. And this actually will require a vote. This is approved of a proposed procedure for dealing with new business items.
All right, so Kyle Jacoby Wellesley, I move the procedure for dealing with new business items.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Mulroney, second.
Thank you, Chris. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
This, Kyle.
Yeah, so for new delegates, when you see the word new business item, that is a one-time action that the NEA will take. So anything that goes to NEA will post this on their website, NEA will develop a curriculum, NEA will design X or do this. Those are all new business items. If you are a veteran of the NEA and RA, you know that NBIs or new business items can take ages to get through, and there could be up to 100 plus of these new business items. 3 years ago, there was a change to policy that basically limited the time in which new business items can be submitted. So as of June 30th, there can be no more business items submitted after that. And then amendments can still come in, but they have to be in before the day that the item is kind of set to be presented. So the policy in front of us is kind of written for the old way of doing new business. Between the change that has happened in the past 3 years and as Max had pointed out, we're in extraordinary times and not the good type of extraordinary. We are going to possibly expect either a motion or a suggestion from the chair that we do new business items somehow differently. So President Pringle might suggest, rather than the word bundling, we may say clump them into like matter discussions so that we can have like kind of a like theme across new business items to occur. If we as a body in the RA want to reject that and go back to, we take them in the order they are submitted, so be it. But this committee is going to have to anticipate that, which kind of means that the new business item committee is going to have to complete their work before the caucus convenes, or complete the work to the best of their ability before our caucus convenes on the main caucus day. That also means that our caucus membership, to Dennis's point earlier, will likely have to go through those new business items and think about pulling out ones you want to hold for discussion. So sometimes a new business item can be as simplistic or simplistic, but as easy as NEA will make a post about this. which will not cost a lot of money and probably take less than 1 hour of staff time, and that no one's going to have a problem with. And then someone also might think like NEA will educate about IDEA, and that costs $7 million. And so we have to have a conversation about that, and we talk about tailoring that back. So there's a lot of kind of flexibility in how the NBI might actually end up on the floor that might impact the way that we discuss in the caucus. So the ask of the group, on top of not just approving this policy, is to be ready for some flexibility that comes from President Pringle, or the demand that comes from President Pringle, as well as maybe some of the flexibility that our caucus might have to do in quote unquote clumping, not bundling, clumping, like conversations together per the request of the executive committee.
Thank you, Kyle. And I will say that my most important act today was giving Kyle the word clump instead of bundle, so that we didn't have confusion. So you're very welcome. All right. I see a question. Dennis Naughton. And then Len.
Thank you, Max. Yeah, back to Kyle. So to follow on with that very interesting term, would you make sure you clarify for us who the clumpers will be?
When you say who the clumpers will be, are you talking at the NEA level?
Yeah.
I will put that down. Yes, it will not be Kyle.
Okay. So when the clumping takes place, how do we expect that will occur?
I don't think it's exactly clear yet. I suspect that the chair, the president, will say, you know what, let's talk about all things related to organizing, strikes, actions today, or in this hour, or whatever, political education. And there actually turns out to be 5 different proposals sort of similarly related, and we'll suggest that they go together. I think that's the idea, but I don't think it's developed yet. I don't think it's finalized how they will do that.
So I expect Becky will be talking about that when she makes herself available.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you both.
Thank you. Len.
Yes, Max, can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
All right. I sent to you about a week or two ago my new business item that I tried to bring up. I got 54% of the vote to bring it up at the annual meeting, so I wouldn't have to do this. Dealing with something that I think is absolutely essential for our students and members to know about the difference between a million, a billion, and a trillion. It's a pretty simple thing. I asked, and in the past, we had taken up new business items at this pre-convention meeting in order to get it in early to the NEA. I had talked to Princess and I, the vice president, had served, and she said there's a number of new business items already on the agenda. And I was hoping that we could get this on so it doesn't, it's not the 130th.
Okay.
But
So
that's
Len,
why I asked to put it on this agenda. But I'll take what you think we should do. Again, it's simple. I'll just read it.
Well, Jen, hold on for a second. Just because we're in the middle of a discussion and there's a motion on the floor to approve.
I'm sorry. I thought we were. Let's do with that. Then I'll come back.
That's okay.
Mac.
We
Thank you.
Post that, Jen, if you can, and then we'll come to a vote on that, because I don't see any.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Max.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Okay. And I am looking at the time, so I will come back to that and make a suggestion. All right. So let us take a vote on this proposed procedure for dealing with new business items. And again, we haven't done this for an hour or so. So we go to the react button. And if you are in favor, just the in favors right now, go to the react button and click the green check mark button.
Max, can we just repeat for the delegates what an in favor vote means?
I think you are in favor of what's on the screen right now. The proposed
Is there a way to get that enlarged, because it's very hard to see? Like blue scroll. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Thank you.
We'll have to scroll down. So
yeah.
but I think it was up there for a while before, so.
I can also paste the text in the chat if that's helpful. Oh, no, I can't.
Okay.
We're running a vote, right?
Yep. So
Okay.
those
All
in
right,
favor, put up your green check marks.
All right, votes are still coming in. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Close
That.
here.
And anyone who is opposed, now use your react button and click the red X mark.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I've approved.
You have approved the procedures for new business items. Thank you. So Len, I'm up to the will of the body. I will say that it is 6:38, and I suspect there might be others who would then want to do new business items. We can get to this at the very beginning of our, early on in our state caucuses, but I leave it to the will of the body about whether we deal with this now or not.
Max,
Yep.
yes, the thing has to be in by June 30th, and we
Yeah.
don't have our caucus till after that. That's why I put it in both at the annual meeting, our annual meeting, and we did get 54% of the vote. That as someone that's gone to this thing for 40 years, I would love it if we could. It's very simple.
Yeah.
It's a simple amendment. I know it won't cost anything, but I think it's essential in these times of disinformation and misinformation.
I totally
that people-
understand. The one concern I have, Len, is we did not convey, since this is a big part of the work of the state caucuses, we did not indicate to people that we would be going through new business items. I know others have filed new business items and are hoping to get support at the state caucus at the convention. So I'm a little concerned about the fairness there. So
All right, Max, what I will do is then submit it and
Yep. And then
submit
we
it to the
discuss it.
and can take it up caucus. That's what I'm going to do.
The very beginning of the caucus, I think I see two things. One is, if it's okay, Brian, I'm just going to take Kyle since he's NBI chair to respond to that. Go ahead.
I was going to say, Len, and anybody else who's listening who has new business items before the committee can take those first. The committee is not bound by any specific order, and so the committee will honor that and make sure that that's taken care of. And you can email that validation to Tom Brenner, and that should satisfy it. You only need to have that in the day before your NBI is to be heard.
So you'll be taking those up. When are you meeting, Kyle? Your committee.
Once the committee has been staffed with members, then we can we'll settle a time to meet. And so if you want to email me, I'll throw my email in the chat. You can email me your NBI directly as well, and we'll take that up first. And then when we present NBIs to be taken up by the body, we'll do those first. That are massive.
Right. So the NEA just requires that a body has done it, but I'm going to submit it to Tom Brenner. I worked very closely with when I was on the exec committee of NEA, so I will submit it to Tom, and then hopefully then you can take it up. That's fine. It's just timing. That's all I'm talking about.
The proof doesn't have to be in until that time. So you're good.
Okay, I'll
Thank
submit
you.
it to NEA though, so
Thanks,
it gets
Kyle.
in the
Thanks, Len.
program.
Yeah.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you, Max. You're
Sure,
doing a
of course.
great job, Max.
Sure. No, thanks, Len. Brian, go ahead.
I was just going, Brian Fitzgerald, Wareham. I was going to say that Lenny, anybody else who has an MBI, they can also be submitted with the approval. I believe it's 50 NEARA delegates. So if Lenny wants to put the link to that in the chat, there's more than 50 of us on the thing. It doesn't have to be a vote of the delegation. He and anybody else, and I've also seen that done on the NEARA Facebook page. You just need 50 signatures. So that would be an alternate way of getting that onto the floor of the RA.
Great. Thank you all. I appreciate that very much. Thanks, Len, for putting it forward and being accommodating on our time. Jen, I think we're at announcements and adjournment. Am I correct? Okay.
You are correct.
The announcements, read all the documents that were in the chat. Actually, I think it is actually really, I do want to encourage that even more than usual to do the advanced work. You got a long flight, longer than usual. And you got a lot of weeks before that to do all the background research and reading through. So we're all really fully prepared for this, what will be a very important RA. And with that, I think I will move that we adjourn or request a motion
Framingham, I move to adjourn.
to adjourn. Second.
Julie Fraser, second.
Okay, we're not gonna do the whole green thing. If you could all just unmute and just say all in favor of adjourning.
Aye.
Aye.
I think that carries the day.
Aye.
Nice to see you all. Thank you. We are adjourned tonight. Appreciate it. Good night.
See you, Mac.
Bye-bye.